Hey, it's Ryan Gillard here at Real Broker, your Calgary Realtor, and today I'm here on location in Tuscany, which I think is one of the best family-friendly neighborhoods in the entire city. This neighborhood has it all, and in this video I'll let you know my thoughts on the pros and cons of living in Tuscany. All right, let's get into it. And if you are thinking about making a move, buying, selling, or relocating to the Calgary area, I'd love to help you out. I've got some free resources for you in the pinned comment or the written description, a buyer's guide, a seller's guide, or a relocation guide. So feel free to download those. And if you have any questions, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd love to help you out. And so why is Tuscany a great neighborhood in Calgary? It's very popular, one of the nicest neighborhoods in the city. And I would say it's a great neighborhood for many reasons, but the most prominent ones are that just super family friendly. I believe there are 4 schools in the neighborhood. There's kids playing all over the place. So super family friendly. It's very scenic. You've got excellent views of the Rocky Mountains. You've also got a 170-acre ravine system in the neighborhood. So plenty of parks and green paths. Again, excellent views. It's a huge neighborhood. It's almost like its own town. And in the middle of Tuscany, there's the market square. So you get all the shopping options there. And it's also pretty connected to the rest of the city in terms of major highways. You've got Crowchild Trail, the Stony Trail Ring Road, easy access to the Trans-Canada Highway. So there's easy connection options, and there's also the CTrain in Tuscany. So it ticks off a lot of the boxes, and I think that's why it's one of the best neighborhoods in the city. And I will touch on all these points as we get into this video. And next up, I'll just show you on the map where Tuscany is located. So here's downtown Calgary over here, and Tuscany is this shaded in section right over here in the deep, deep northwest. And it's a huge neighborhood. I believe it's the biggest neighborhood in Calgary. It's maybe 2 to 3 times the size of a normal neighborhood. And it's almost like a small town. And so it's huge. And the boundaries are, this is 12 Mile Coulee Road over here. That's the west boundary. This is Crowchild Trail over here to the Ring Road, Stony Trail, to Nose Hill Drive. And while I have the map open, I'll just touch on some of the transportation options and issues for Tuscany. So first things first, it is far away from downtown. That is one of the negatives of Tuscany. It's about 20 kilometers from Tuscany to the downtown, which is over here. But it's pretty easy driving though. The northwest part of Calgary, I think, is the easiest quadrant to drive in. There's lots of main roads. So if you're leaving Calgary to Tuscany, you'd probably take the Trans-Canada Highway, which is right over here. And that connects all the way to the Ring Road, which is this road right here. And you can come into Tuscany from Nose Hill Drive right here. So you've got easy access to Nose Hill Drive. This road right here is a very prominent road in the northwest. Easy access to the Ring Road. That's this road right here. Goes all the way around the city, and that's an access point into Tuscany. You've got Crowchild Trail. This is like the main artery of northwest Calgary, and that takes you to the northern end of Tuscany and out of the city if you're going to the mountains. So you've got Crowchild Trail. You've got 12 Mile Coulee Road over here is also a fairly busy road. And you've also got the CTrain, which I believe is right over here in the northern section of the neighborhood. It's not pulling up. Oh, here it is. Tuscany Station right here. So that's one of the pros of Tuscany. It has its own CTrain stop. One of the negatives, though, is that the Tuscany Station is, I don't think it's in that much of a convenient spot. I think they should have built the CTrain in the Tuscany Market area, right in the middle of the neighborhood. If you're walking to the CTrain from the southern end of Tuscany, it's probably like an hour walk to get all the way to the CTrain. So it doesn't make that much sense to me. They should add an extra stop, I think, in Tuscany Market. I don't make the rules, though, but that's one of the negatives is that the CTrain's not that accessible from a good portion of the neighborhood. And next up, let's talk about real estate and real estate pricing in Tuscany. So Tuscany is a neighborhood that has all product types. It is like a master plan community. You'll find a lot of single family homes. You'll find townhouses, condos, and even some duplexes. Not many duplexes, but there are some. And so let's get into the stats here. So the total residential price is $713,100. And this is up 9% over last year. This is the average of single-family duplexes, townhouses, and condos. If we look specifically at detached homes, I would say they range in price from about $600,000 starting to about $1.3 million. It seems to cap off at that price. There are some exceptions to that, but for the most part, most homes are in that price range. And the average price is $791,100, up 10.5% year over year. There are some duplexes here. There just wasn't any sales last month. There's a pocket, I believe, in the southeast part of the neighborhood where you can find some villa-type properties. Some townhouses are found in Tuscany as well. Average price $487,800. That is up 14.4% year over year. And there are a few condo complexes too. And a lot of them have excellent views of the Rocky Mountains as well. There are some nice condos here, and the average price $430,400, up 10% year over year. The inventory, only 20 homes on the market. So Tuscany, by the stats, looks like it's still a bit of a seller's market. Only 1.25 months of supply. This is the stat where if no one could list a property for sale, it would only take 1.25 months to sell the remaining inventory. That is definitely a seller's market still. Once this gets to like around 3 months of supply, then it's more of a balanced market. So right now, Tuscany is still pretty hot. Now, Tuscany is like a lot of neighborhoods in Calgary where there are subregions of the neighborhood with different pricing and stuff like that. So I would say the most expensive parts of Tuscany are definitely Tuscany Estates down here. You find a lot of really nice properties, especially when they're backing onto these ridges. They have excellent views. And you've also got this very hilly part of the northern area of Tuscany called Tusselwood. That's another very expensive pocket of the neighborhood. I would say like the oldest and most affordable part of the neighborhood is over here, the Tuscarora area. And then the rest of the area, you've got the area around the Market Square and the ravine over here, where you'll find just a mixture of all price ranges. But again, the most expensive parts would be the Estates area and Tusselwoods up here. And I'll just show you some of these properties that have sold recently. So the first one here is in Tusselwood. This one sold for $1.3 million. So this is like where it kind of caps off in this neighborhood in terms of pricing. This was a 2-story built in 2005, detached property, 3,019 square feet, so a huge 2-story home, 3 beds above grade, 3 full baths, 1 half bath, a walkout basement with a double attached garage. And I'll just show you some of the photos here. I'll just kind of scroll through. It looks like a pretty nice property. And if we get down to the outside, it probably has some nice views, which it does. And I'll just show you one more from this property. It looks like it has a very nice backyard, nice landscaping. So that's the Tusselwood area. That's the northwest part of the neighborhood. And I'll show you one in the Tuscany Estates area, which is probably the most expensive part of the neighborhood. This one sold for $1.277 million. It was built in 2009, 2,965 square feet, so a huge property, 4 bedrooms above grade, 3 full baths, 1 half bath, and it has a walkout basement as well, and it has a quad or more attached garage, so lots of parking. And I'll just take you through some of these photos here. So here's the walkout basement. It's very desirable. Nice deck. Nice views as well. Excellent views, I would say. And you get the idea. Very nice property. And I'll show you a more affordable starter option that you can find in Tuscany as well. So this one sold for roughly $600,000. 2-story property built in 2003. 1,442 square feet, 3 beds, 2.5 bathrooms, unfinished basement, and no parking for this one. I imagine you can build parking in the backyard, but they just haven't done it yet. And here are some photos. So we call these lane homes, where the garage is not attached to the front of the property. And this looks like a very kind of typical starter home that you'd find in the suburbs in Calgary. And again, this would be the entry-level price range for this neighborhood. And next up, I'll just take you through a condo sale in Tuscany. This one sold at 10221 Tuscany Boulevard, which is a very popular building called Villa d'Este. Sold for $535,000, which is above average for the neighborhood in terms of pricing. 1,445 square feet, 1 bedroom, 2 bathrooms. And what I like about this complex is that it has excellent views of the Rocky Mountains, depending on which way your unit is facing. So I'll see if I can find some outdoor views for you. It looks like a very nice unit. And so as you can see here, This is the main drag coming into Tuscany. The market square is over here, and a lot of these condos are facing the Rocky Mountains, so they have excellent views of the neighborhood and the mountains. And next up are townhouses. So in the last 180 days, 16 townhouses have sold here. So there's not a huge amount of townhouses, but they are here, and it looks like they range in price from 400 to 500 mostly, but there's some exceptions. This one sold for 1.1 million, which is a very expensive townhouse. So I'll just pull one up here. Tuscany Court to give you an idea. So just your typical townhouse look. Looks like a decent unit. And if I go back, this one sold for $465. It's a 4-level split style, which is a bit unusual. Most of these townhouses are typically 2 or 3 story. 1,271 square feet, 3 beds, 1.5 bathrooms, unfinished basement. It has a single attached garage. And that's your typical townhouse sale in Tuscany. And there are some semi-detached properties, also called duplexes, in the neighborhood. Not very many, but there are some. In the last few months, only 5 properties have sold. And I'll just pull up this one here, Tuscany Village Court, to give you an idea. So it looks like a villa-style property, sold for $750. It's a bungalow, 1,374 square feet, so a decent-sized bungalow, 1 bedroom, 2 full baths, 1 half bath, and a walkout basement with a double attached garage. I'll just show you some of the photos here. And these properties are mainly bought by seniors, from what I can tell. And some of these do have like age restrictions and stuff like that, but they're all different. But for the most part, we call these villas, and the main clientele would be seniors. And that gives you an idea of the real estate options in Tuscany. Next up is education and schooling. So again, this is one of the most popular family-friendly neighborhoods in the entire city. Just driving around Tuscany, you will see kids all over the place playing. There's giant school fields, lots of parks in this neighborhood. And there are 4 schools directly in Tuscany. The first one here, Tuscany School, is kindergarten to grade 4. To the west of it is St. Basil Elementary. This is a Catholic school from kindergarten to grade 9. Eric Harvey School is also kindergarten to grade 4. And 12 Mile Cooley School over here is grades 5 to 9. And if you're looking for a high school, I believe students in Tuscany, they go to Bowness, which is this neighborhood right over here to the southeast of Tuscany. And the next point, is Tuscany a safe neighborhood to live in? I've had this question a few times from some clients, and the easy answer is 100% yes. Tuscany is a very safe neighborhood. I find Calgary altogether to be a very safe city, and the northwest part of Calgary is definitely one of the safer spots of Calgary. So I would have no issues at all moving to Tuscany. Sure, there's petty crime anywhere in the world. You can find that in Tuscany as well, but I would have no issues moving to Tuscany and when worrying about crime and stuff like that. It's definitely one of the safer spots in Calgary. And next up, and what I think is one of the best things about living in Tuscany, is all of the outdoor activities. And first up would be the Tuscany Club, offering all sorts of different activities. So there's like a wading pool, a skating rink, you've got indoor gymnasiums, playgrounds. Here's an aerial shot. You can see there's a hockey rink right here, tennis courts over here, sitting areas, playgrounds, little park areas. It's just a very vibrant place. And one of the best things about living in Tuscany is access to all the different parks and pathways. You can see here running from north to south, this is the ravine system, which connects here to the 12 Mile Cooley Park. And this pathway nature reserve, it runs through the entire neighborhood. And they're just paths and parkways all throughout the neighborhood, and there's excellent views of the Rocky Mountains. And Tuscany being on the western edge of the city, you've got pretty easy access to the Rocky Mountains through the Trans-Canada Highway straight west. You can be in the mountains in less than an hour. You've also got easy access to the Rocky Ridge YMCA, which is located up here, Shane Holmes YMCA at Rocky Ridge. This is a futuristic-looking building, one of the nicest YMCAs in the entire world. You've got all sorts of athletic programs there. Easy access to Bowness Park, which is just over here. This is one of the best parks in the city, definitely underrated. I would highly recommend checking it out in the wintertime and skating in the different lagoons. In the summer, you've got little cafes and stuff like that in the area. And I think Bowness is actually a very up-and-coming neighborhood as well. So you got easy access to all of that, and you also have easy access to Windsport, or Canada Olympic Park, where you can go skiing. I think you can toboggan there. There's the luge track, hockey rinks, and different things like that. Very popular part of the city. And lastly, there's all sorts of really high-end premier golf courses on the western edge of the city. You've got Lynx Ridge right over here. You've got the Bears Paw Golf Course over here. And there's more all scattered throughout this part of Calgary. And last up is the shopping options if you're living in Tuscany. So I'll zoom in here. So in the very middle of Tuscany, you have the Tuscany Market, this yellow section. This is where all the stores are located. So if I zoom in, you've got a Starbucks, a gas station. There's a pub here called the Last Straw Ale House right here. A Subway. There's a Sobeys grocery store. There's a liquor store over here. I believe there's a medical clinic, chiropractor office, and a dental office right over here, and a few others that they're just not popping up. But I would say most of the options, if you're living in Tuscany, would be in Crowfoot Crossing over here. Not far of a drive, maybe a 5-minute drive. And Crowfoot Crossing is one of the biggest shopping centers in the whole city. You've got pretty much everything that you could possibly need in this big yellow section. And again, that's not very far from Tuscany. If you go just south of the neighborhood, this section over here, there's a Home Depot, there's a gas station, an A&W over here. And if you just go southeast of Tuscany, you'll come across Bowness and Montgomery, this section of Calgary right over here. And there's lots of stores, lots of shopping, lots of pubs along Bowness Road. And this whole area is seeing a bit of a revitalization. There's lots of construction going on, and there's all sorts of new projects being built in this part of Calgary. So I think the shopping options in Tuscany, they are pretty good. The one drawback to Calgary suburbs, and Tuscany is no different, is that a lot of these stores that you see here in Tuscany and Crowfoot Crossing, they're basically like the big box chain stores. I think it could be a bit more original, but that's a Calgary problem citywide. But overall, if you're living in this part of Calgary, there's no shortage of shopping options. Well, there you have it. That's my rundown of Tuscany, one of the best neighborhoods in the city, especially for families. And again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd love to help you out. And also check out the free resources in the pinned comment or the written description, buyer's guide, seller's guide, or a relocation guide. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video.